I said put the phone down, kid. We both know you didn't pay for it. The words cut like a blade through the air. Malik froze, phone in one hand, receipt in the other. His headphones still hung around his neck, but the music had stopped hours ago. I just bought this, he said, his voice too calm for how loud his heart was pounding. Look, receipt's right here. The white store clerk didn't even glance. Uh-huh. Sure, real creative. Why don't you just hand it over before I call security? Malik blinked. I'm literally showing you the receipt. The clerk stepped closer, voice louder now, eyes darting toward other customers. Step away from the merchandise, now. People were starting to stare. Malik's hand trembled. You're making a mistake. No, the clerk snapped. You made the mistake when you thought you could walk in here dressed like that and walk out with a phone. Dressed like what? A hoodie? Sweatpants? Before Malik could speak again, 2 uniformed security guards appeared behind him like shadows. Hands where I can see 'em, one of the guards said, already reaching for his walkie. Malik raised his hands, the receipt still fluttering between his fingers. Guys, seriously, check the timestamp. The phone is registered to me. One of the guards took the receipt, barely looked at it before scoffing. Could be fake. We get this type in here all the time. This type? Malik repeated, heat rising in his chest. The clerk leaned in, smirking. Yeah, the kind that knows how to work the system, show just enough manners to seem polite, just enough tech knowledge to fake a purchase. You're profiling me, Malik said quietly, but it came out more like a breath than a statement. Watch your tone, the other guard warned. You're already digging yourself deeper. Malik's voice cracked. I'm not stealing anything. I bought it. I have a debit alert. It's on my phone, which we'll be holding for now, the clerk said, snatching the phone from Malik's hand. Malik flinched but didn't resist. The room tilted. He wasn't angry. Not yet. He was stunned. Phones were out now. A woman in a blazer, a man in a baseball cap, teenagers in line, recording, murmuring, whispering. But none of them stepped forward. Not one. Malik scanned their faces. Some looked sympathetic. Most didn't meet his eyes. He could hear them. Wonder what really happened. Shoulda just complied. Why didn't he just leave? He stood in the center of the store like a display. Only this one bled silence. Someone, please, he muttered, barely audible. Just tell them I'm not lying. No one moved. The guards pulled his backpack off. The receipt hit the floor. And still, nothing. Inside his head, Malik screamed, but outside, he was stone. I've done everything right, he thought. I stayed calm. I brought my ID. I used my debit card. I even smiled when he followed me. And still, here he was. You think I'm just another thug, he wanted to shout. But I'm a straight-A student. I tutor kids after school. I built my own gaming app. He kept thinking it, as if maybe the truth would leak through his skin. But the clerk only saw one thing, black. Hoodie. Suspicious. His face burned. Not from guilt, but from the unbearable weight of being unseen. A silent injustice. Every unspoken stereotype. Every microaggression swallowed whole. He looked at the guards, the crowd, the floor, and for the first time in a long time, he felt ashamed for surviving it quietly. The backroom door clicked shut. Cold, gray walls, folding chair, no windows. Malik sat. The phone was gone, his backpack searched. Even his school binder flipped through like it held contraband. The guard from earlier leaned against the door. You're going to wait here until the cops arrive. Can I make a call? You think this is jail? The man chuckled. You're not owed a call. Malik swallowed hard. Please, call my uncle, Craig Robinson. The guard raised an eyebrow. Malik added quietly, "Michelle Obama's brother-in-law." Silence. "Sure," the guard mocked. "And I'm married to Oprah. Sit tight, Malik." He said Malik like it was a threat. Malik's voice cracked, eyes shining now. "Just call him, you'll see." The door closed, alone again. He pressed his fists into his knees. No tears, just stillness. The kind that comes before a storm, the kind you feel right before the whole world changes. "Malik, you up?" His mom's voice came through the door, soft but worn. "I've been up." It was still dark outside. His laptop screen glowed with lines of code, half-finished app, school project. One earbud dangled from his shoulder. He closed his notebook, stood, stretched. The smell of old carpet and burnt toast lingered. This wasn't a story about tragedy. Malik didn't want sympathy, he just wanted a shot. In Southside Chicago, you didn't get gold stars for showing up. You survived, you excelled, or you got stereotyped. There wasn't much middle ground. He moved quietly, backpack zipped, hoodie up. Not to hide, just to be left alone. Today was the day. He was finally buying that phone, not the newest, not the flashiest. But it was his, paid in full, no handouts, no shortcuts. That's how Malik lived, earned, never owed. "Why didn't you just ask your uncle for it?" his friend Deshaun had asked last week. Malik shrugged. "I don't want favors. I want respect." What most people didn't know, what he never volunteered, was that Malik's uncle was Craig Robinson. Yeah, that Craig. Married to Michelle Obama's sister. Thanksgiving dinners were surreal, but Malik kept it private. People acted different when they found out. Some got weird, some expected handouts. Others stopped seeing him at all, just saw the name, the tie to power, the shadow he could never live up to. Malik didn't want to be anyone's shortcut to a headline. He just wanted to be seen for who he was. That's why he worked for what he wanted, even if it cost him twice as much to prove it. Malik had counted every dollar. After school shifts at the corner store, tutoring middle schoolers on weekends, building apps for local barbershops for barely anything. 9 months of grinding, 9 months of no excuses, just to afford a phone other kids got handed for Christmas. He remembered walking past the store window last December, pressing his palm against the glass. Someday, not because of the brand, not because it was flashy, because it would be his. And today, that moment finally came. He had the money, the ID, the receipt. He even dressed carefully. Hoodie, sure, but clean. Backpack neat. Shoes scuffed, but tied tight. He did everything right. And yet, just hours later, they still saw a thief. Even before today, Malik knew how the world looked at him. Not just in stores, on sidewalks, in elevators, in classrooms. The pause when a woman clutched her purse. The double glance when he asked a question in too proper English. The cop who smiled just a second too late when driving past him at night. They never said it outright, but he could feel it. Microaggressions stacked like bricks, building invisible walls around him. So Malik learned to move carefully. Speak softly, smile just enough. Because one wrong look could make him a problem. One wrong word could make him a threat. And even now, sitting in that back room, he still thought, what did I do wrong? You lost something? The words hit before the door even fully closed behind him. Malik froze. He turned. The white guy behind the counter didn't smile. Didn't blink, just stared like he'd stepped into the wrong world. "No," Malik said, steady. "I'm good." The clerk didn't move, just followed him with his eyes, and then his body, a full step out from behind the counter. Malik walked to the electronics aisle, heart tapping faster. He didn't steal glances, didn't fidget, just focused on the box, his phone, the one he worked for. "Need help?" the clerk asked, suddenly closed again. "No, sir, I know what I want." But the man stayed, hovering like a second shadow, eyes flicking from Malik's shoes to his hoodie to his backpack. "You can leave that up front if you want," the clerk added, nodding at his bag. "I'm fine, thanks." He forced a breath. This wasn't new. This was every other store, every other day. Racial injustice rarely screams. Sometimes it whispers just loud enough for you to doubt yourself. Malik stood at the counter, phone in hand. "I'm ready to check out." The clerk didn't respond. Instead, he turned to a white couple behind Malik, nodded politely. "Y'all find everything okay?" They smiled, handed over a charger and case, paid, left. Malik blinked. Sir?" The man finally looked up. "Still need something?" Malik held up the phone box. "I was next, just need to pay." "Oh, right, thought you were still deciding." His voice had a little smirk in it, like this was a game. Malik's throat tightened. This was it, that quiet kind of discrimination at work, the one that didn't leave bruises, just dents in your dignity. He said nothing, just held out the phone and card. His silence wasn't a weakness, it was armor. The beep of the scanner was louder than it should have been. The clerk held Malik's card up like it was radioactive. Squinted, flipped it over, back again. "Can you confirm your name?" he asked, slowly. Malik stared. Malik Robinson. He matched the ID, matched the face. Still didn't hand it back. "Huh." He turned it to the side, inspecting it like a fake. "Just making sure, hope this isn't stolen." The air left Malik's chest. He'd heard stories, knew the script. Microaggressions like this came wrapped in jokes, in just being careful. Malik didn't move, didn't flinch. "You want me to call my bank?" The clerk didn't answer, just rang up the total and slid the card through, too slow. "Just doing my job," he muttered. But his smile wasn't a smile. It was a warning, and Malik knew it. This wasn't about a phone, it was about power, and Malik wasn't supposed to have any. Malik stepped back, bag in hand. He could still feel the man's eyes on him. Every instinct screamed, "Leave." But his mind was louder. Why did he treat me like that? Did I sound too angry, too defensive? He thought about his voice, his clothes, his skin. Would they have treated me differently if I had a suit on? If I smiled more? If I said, "Sir," first? He hated the thought, but it stayed. That's the thing about racial profiling. It makes you feel guilty, not them. He glanced around. Another white customer smiled at the clerk, chatted casually, laughed. No questions, no ID checks. Malik clutched the bag tighter. He hadn't said anything wrong, but maybe he hadn't said it white enough. "Lock the door, he's not going anywhere." Malik turned fast, the voice cold, commanding. A heavy click echoed behind him. The storage room smelled like cardboard and bleach, but all he noticed was how far away the door felt now. "Sit," the security guard said, arms crossed. "Back against the wall." Malik didn't move. "I didn't do anything." "Oh, I bet you didn't," the guard chuckled, pulling out his phone. "Smile for the camera. What are you doing? Proof for when you try to sue." Click. "Gotta cover ourselves, right?" Malik's hands trembled in his lap. He could feel the concrete through his jeans. He tried to breathe. I tried not to cry. "You can't hold me like this," Malik said, voice cracking. "Sure we can," the guard said. "You fit the profile." That phrase. You fit the profile. It burned worse than the cold concrete beneath him. This wasn't about a phone. This was about power, and how fast it got weaponized when you were black, alone, and labeled. He blinked hard. Racial injustice wasn't always loud. Sometimes it was just a locked door, a laughing man, and the sound of your dignity being stripped, one breath at a time. The door swung open again. The store manager stepped in, tall, pale, clipboard in hand, like this was some corporate formality. He didn't greet Malik, didn't even look him in the eye. "Empty the bag." Malik shook his head. "I paid. Check the cameras. I have the receipt." "We're not doing this." The manager tossed the clipboard on a crate. "Empty it. Now." Malik hesitated, his voice small. "This is illegal." The guard laughed again. "Ain't illegal to check a thief." "I'm not." "Do it," the manager snapped, "or we call the cops." Malik slowly unzipped his backpack, pulling out textbooks, headphones, a half-eaten granola bar, then the phone box. "See?" he whispered. "Paid for." The manager didn't even look, just pointed to the guard. "Call anyway." Malik's heart dropped. Discrimination at work wasn't just being ignored, it was being erased, even after proving yourself. His bag lay open on the floor, but all they saw was guilt. "This receipt looks fake." The manager held it like it was some contaminated evidence. Smooth, increased paper. Straight from the printer. "That's the one you gave me," Malik said. "Right at the counter. No timestamp," the manager said, squinting. "The paper's too clean." The security guard took the receipt, snorted. "Looks like one of those download and print joints." "It's legit," Malik snapped, voice shaking. "You trying to scam us?" the manager asked, inching closer. "Because it won't end well." "I'm telling you." The manager yanked the phone from Malik's bag. "You don't have the right. You forfeited rights when you walked in here looking suspicious." Malik felt like screaming, but nothing came out. They held the power, the room, the narrative. And they'd taken his proof, too. He had one thing left. His silence. But even that was being pulled out of him, word by word, breath by breath. This wasn't about merchandise. It was about humiliation. Public, crushing, deliberate humiliation. The police arrived 10 minutes later. Malik sat on the floor, legs folded, hands clenched. One officer, black, looked at him, did a double take. Recognition flickered. Mr. Daniels, from the community center, from those summer mentorship programs. Their eyes locked. Malik's heart fluttered with hope, relief. But Mr. Daniels didn't speak, didn't step in, just looked away. "Anything on him?" another officer asked. "Nope," the guard said. "I still think he's hiding something." Mr. Daniels nodded like he hadn't seen anything. Like Malik was just another case, not the kid he once told, "You got a future." Malik swallowed hard. Being known didn't protect you. Not when silence was safer. Not when complicity came easier than truth. Outside the room, someone whispered, "Why didn't he just obey? Would have been easier." Malik heard it, like he wasn't there. Like his existence was the inconvenience. He stared at the scuffed tile floor. Every second stretched. The shame wasn't his, but it lived in his stomach anyway. It grew in the silence, the kind that's loud enough to choke you. He hadn't screamed, hadn't resisted. Still, somehow, it was too much. Still, somehow, he was too much. "I didn't steal," his voice, quiet, but razor-sharp. The guard rolled his eyes. "I didn't lie." Malik looked up. His hand stopped trembling. "You don't know who I am," he said. "But you're gonna find out." The manager scoffed. "Is that a threat?" Malik stood slow. "It's a promise." There was no yelling, no fists, just fire behind his eyes. And the shift, the one they didn't see coming. Because the story wasn't ending. It was about to start. "Who gave you the right to touch him?" The words sliced through the room. Everyone turned. She walked in like thunder in heels, black woman, 40-something, presence loud without volume. The manager froze. The guard dropped his smirk. "You," she pointed. "Step away from my nephew." Malik blinked. "Aunt Kelly?" She didn't even look at him yet. Her eyes locked on the guard. "How long you been recording him like some animal?" The man opened his mouth, but nothing came out. "You think you're safe 'cause you wear a badge on your belt and call it protocol?" Silence. "You dragged him, you laughed, you humiliated him, all while knowing you were wrong." She finally turned to Malik, and that's when her voice cracked. "You okay, baby?" He didn't answer, just nodded barely. Kelly exhaled, then looked at the room again. "You messed with the wrong family. But worse, you messed with the wrong truth." "That's my nephew," Kelly said slowly, as if the room needed to hear it twice. The manager's eyes darted. We didn't know." "Oh, I know you didn't," Kelly interrupted, stepping forward. "Because if you did, you would have treated him like royalty, right?" No one answered. "Michelle Obama's nephew," she continued. "But that's not why I'm here." Malik flinched slightly, like he hated the name drop. "I'm here because a good kid was treated like a criminal. Because racial injustice is so routine, you thought this wouldn't matter." She pulled out her phone. "Now it does." Behind her, the door opened again. 2 women in suits stepped in, followed by cameras. Live recording. Kelly didn't look back. "See, this ain't just family. This is public now. And this," she pointed around the storage room, "this is what discrimination looks like when the world's watching." The manager's face turned pale, but Kelly's tone stayed steady. "You didn't need to know who he was. You just have to see who he is." "Get the cameras rolling," one of the lawyers said. Already were. Kelly's phone flashed with notifications. Live viewers. 8,000. 19,400, climbing fast. "Are you ready to explain why a straight-A student with a valid receipt was locked in a room like a thief?" The reporter's mic moved toward the manager. He stammered. We thought..." "Thought what?" Kelly snapped. "That his skin was a receipt for suspicion?" The lawyer stepped up. "Malik Johnson, 17, Southside youth mentor, victim of microaggressions, false detainment, and potential civil rights violations. Today's footage will be used in a formal investigation." The clerk, who'd followed Malik around earlier, tried to slip out. "Don't move," the cop warned. The irony burned. Kelly folded her arms. "Y'all dragged him in. Now you're going to stand still while the truth walks out." Malik looked up. His heart was still racing. But it felt different now, like breathing in after nearly drowning. Like the world finally paused to see him. "You didn't know who he was?" the reporter asked. The manager tried again. "No, we—" "Stop," Kelly said, holding up a hand. "You didn't need to know who he was. That's the point." The reporter nodded. "Say that again?" Kelly's eyes were locked on the manager. "You saw his skin, his hoodie, his silence, and decided that was enough." "He was acting suspicious." "No," Kelly said. "He was acting black in a space that doesn't respect black existence." Malik stood now, next to her. Silent, but taller than before. Kelly continued. "What happened here today wasn't new. It just finally got caught on camera. A viral video wasn't justice, but it was a start." "Tell me," she said, voice sharper now. "How many others got dragged in and never got a headline?" The manager didn't answer. "I didn't need to. The room already had its answer." Michelle's voice broke through the live stream, tight but clear. "He's just a kid, but he's mine." Malik stared at the screen, eyes glassy. "My nephew could have been anybody's son. anybody's a student. He shouldn't need to be in my family to be treated like a human being. The internet exploded. Tweets, shares, hashtags, justice for Malik. This is his America. Receipt, and still arrested. The lawyers didn't flinch. They were used to public outrage. But Malik wasn't. He didn't want fame. He just wanted dignity. And that was the part people missed. He wasn't a headline. He was a boy who'd done everything right, and still got dragged like he didn't matter. The cop stepped aside. The clerk was let out. But Malik didn't smile, didn't celebrate. He looked straight at the camera and said nothing, because this wasn't a victory. This was exposure. This was what happened when silence got too loud to hide. And justice still had a long way to go. "Y'all see this?" The tweet blew up in under an hour. A clip of Malik's face, shaking, eyes wide, lips pressed shut while the guard laughed. 35 seconds of racial injustice wrapped in pixelated pain. Then came the storm. TikToks, Instagram reels, duets, stitch after stitch after stitch. This is why we say Black Lives Matter. How many of Malik's never got cameras? I worked at that store. This ain't new. By noon, justice for Malik was trending in 12 countries. Celebs posted. Politicians scrambled. Even brands tried to jump on it, too late. Because people weren't watching a story. They were watching themselves, their brother, their student, their own kid in a hoodie in the wrong zip code. Malik sat on his bed, still not smiling. He didn't need viral fame. He just needed the lie to stop. The store went quiet, permanently. Doors locked, windows papered up. Closed for restructuring, the sign said. Translation: we got exposed. The clerk was fired. The manager was placed on indefinite leave. Civil rights charges hit the inbox before they could craft an apology video. The security company pulled their contract within hours. Discrimination at work wasn't just bad press now. It was a liability. People who once looked through Malik now leaned in like he had a TED Talk to give. "You doing okay, man? You want to speak at our company event? We'd love your feedback on our DEI policies." He said no more than he said yes. Silence, after all, had cost him the most. Let them sit in theirs for a while. At 10:04 a.m., the school bell rang. No one moved. Then, one by one, students stood, walked, phones raised, voices low but firm. Justice for Malik. Across the field, across the city, other schools joined. Not in chaos, not in rage, but in presence. Because that day in the store, Malik couldn't stand up for himself, so they stood in his place. Teachers watched, some cried, because when youth moves with purpose, the world has no choice but to notice. "I didn't want to speak today," Malik began. The gym fell silent. "But I couldn't let my silence be the last thing y'all heard." A hush wrapped around his words. "They saw a thief," he continued. "I saw a mirror of every time I've been followed, ignored, doubted." He paused. "But I also saw a chance." He scanned the crowd, students, teachers, strangers holding signs, to turn pain into policy, fear into focus, humiliation into a platform. This wasn't performative, this was healing, out loud. "I don't want to be a symbol, I just want my voice to matter before I'm gone." A beat. And if I gotta go through this for the next kid to not be dragged into some back room, then yeah, I'll speak. The applause didn't break the silence. It honored it. "Name?" the new clerk asked. Malik didn't flinch. "Malik Johnson, Diversity and Inclusion Audit Lead." The man blinked. "Right, this way." Same store, same cold floors, different gravity. Malik walked past the register where he'd once been treated like a suspect. Now, he asked questions, reviewed policies, took notes on bias training gaps. He didn't raise his voice. He was the voice. The irony? They gave him a badge this time. He didn't wear it. He didn't need to. They didn't ask. They just looked and decided who you were, before you spoke, before you moved, before they even knew your name. If you've ever felt that weight of being misjudged, silenced, erased, drop your story in the comments. Let others see they're not the only ones still carrying it. If this shook something in you, don't scroll past it. Don't just feel it. Share it. Because silence isn't neutral. It protects the comfortable. It buries the truth. Post this. Repost it. Speak up. Malik's story isn't just fiction. It's familiar. And maybe too familiar.